Hi, I'm Stu from HiveMind Automation and welcome back to the Hive. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at managing our Tasmota devices centrally using an open source project called Tasmo Admin. We'll start with getting it installed and we'll go through the basic setup and then we'll demonstrate why I think that it's useful. So while I roll the intro, why don't you take a moment to subscribe? And if you hit the bell icon, you'll also get notified when I release new videos each week. While you're at it, if you like what I do here and you want to help to support the channel, there are some affiliate links in the video description to buy a bunch of the home automation gadgets you've seen me review in the past. And there's other ways to support the channel as well, such as signing up for NordVPN using my affiliate link, or supporting the channel directly through my Buy Me a Coffee link. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. So if you've been into home automation for a while and started building up a decent number of devices running the Tasmota custom firmware, you might, like me, be struggling to keep them up to date. From where I'm sitting, I can look around and see 15 Tasmota devices, including the 4 downlights here in the dining room and the bulb in this lamp here over my left shoulder. The release cadence of Tasmota seems to be fairly quick, though it's been a while since I've looked at it. When I first started making smart home videos, Tasmota was at version 8-ish, and now it's up to around version 12.1. And we're right around 2 years now since I started making these videos, so it's been moving fairly quickly. Now, the whole concept of Tasmota was removing cloud control from devices, and that then enhanced security through the removal of those cloud connections, but enhanced security can degrade pretty quickly if you're not keeping your firmware up to date. In my day job, I work in IT, and it's widely accepted that the number one thing that organizations and, more importantly, users can do to help to secure their IT systems, whether it's at home or in the office, is to install software updates as they are released to patch any vulnerabilities that might be in the system. Much like a Windows, Mac, or Linux update, our smart homes also need regular software patches too. And whether that's just the regular Home Assistant updates, and with 2022.10.1 out now, you may have a pending software update on your Home Assistant server. Updates to things like WLAD, or like we'll discuss today, updates to Tasmota, and these updates can potentially contain patches for critical problems that are within the software. And it doesn't have to just be security related. It might also be something as simple as a slight UI tweak to give you a better quality of life, or better Wi-Fi reliability that could make all the difference to your sanity and the way that your smart home operates. So to help us out with ensuring all of our Tasmota devices are up to date, we're going to install a Home Assistant add-on called Tasmo Admin on our Home Assistant server. So I'm going to head over to Home Assistant, and because Tasmo Admin is a Home Assistant add-on, we'll go to Settings and then Add-ons, and we'll go to the add-on store, and I'm going to search for Tasmo, and we'll see Tasmo Admin here. Now, it's worth noting as well that you can install a Docker container of Tasmo Admin. If you happen to have a Synology NAS or something along those lines that runs Docker containers, you could reasonably install that on there. I'm going to click on the install button here, and this will take a couple of moments to download and install this from the repository. So now that that's installed, I'm going to turn on Watchdog and Auto Update, and on the Configuration tab, I'm going to turn off SSL here, and that's unique to my environment. I've found that when I have that turned on, it breaks some stuff with the way my Home Assistant is set up. I'll just click Save on that, This is only for my demo instance. For my production instance of Tasmo Admin, I have this running on my Docker host. So with SSL turned off and that's saved, I'm heading back to info, and then I'm going to click on start, and we'll give this a moment to start up. Hopefully this add-on CPU usage will settle down a little bit. And once it's started and we've had a couple of moments, I'm going to click on Open Web UI. And so with the Web UI up, I'm going to type in admin and admin, and then I'm going to click on register, and that has registered an account for us. I would obviously recommend that you probably don't use admin and admin. I'm going to be destroying this container after we are done here. Now, straight off the bat, it says no devices found, and you can add devices on the devices page. And we've got either auto scan here. It's actually a little bit difficult to see. I'm going to zoom in. We've got auto scan here. For whatever reason, the contrast on these buttons is pretty awful. I will say with Tasmo Admin, I'm not super impressed by the web interface or the user experience, but it does do the job. So we've got auto scan and add device here. We can manually add individual devices, but I'm going to click on auto scan. And I'm going to scan from IP 192.168.1.1 and to 192.168.1.255. I'll leave the device username as admin, and if you have set up a web password for your Tasmota devices, you would need to set that up there. It will be stored in plain text though inside the file. So I'll click Start Auto Scan, and this will hopefully discover some devices. So it's found 15 devices. That's great. And it's got the details if we scroll down. So the device IP of device 1, and it is a Mirabella Genio bulb. We can change the position, and this is used to order the devices. So if we scroll down here, we've got lounge 4. We might want to put that, say, in position 5. Lounge 5, we might want to put in position 6. Kitchen 1, lounge 2, we'll put in position 3. I'm going to hit save all, and it's added those devices. And what we can do now is go back to this start menu here, and you'll see we have a fairly rudimentary dashboard where we've got lounge 1, 2, kitchen 3, 4, 5. The ordering of this hasn't worked particularly well, but we should be able to modify that a bit later if we wanted to. And I can click on the Mirabella Genio bulb, and you'll see on my A camera here that that has turned on, and I'll click it again and it will turn off. And it's pretty responsive. It is Tasmota, so it's all local control. This dashboard's all well and good, and it does give us a fairly decent way to manage our devices, even if it's just turning them on and off. But more importantly, if we click on this devices menu item here, we'll see that we've got 3 items. We've got list, update, and auto scan. So auto scan, we've just done one of those. We could do another auto scan from a different IP range if we wanted to. But if I go to list in here, we see that we've got some details of our devices. So we've got our Mirabella Genio bulb over my left shoulder here. And again, we can turn that on and off from this UI here. And I'm going to turn on detail view, and that's going to give us even more information. So we've got the IP address of the device. We've got the state either on or off. We've got percentage of the Wi-Fi signal, and if you hover over that, you'll actually also see the Wi-Fi network that it is connected to. We see the version of Tasmota that we're running on the device, and as we scroll across, we can also see the run time, so how long it's been since the light bulb was last rebooted. The host name, we've got the MAC address. MQTT is set to 1. I think that might be a Boolean, either 1 or 0. Power on state is set to 3. I'm not sure what that means. The LED state is 1. Save data is 1. Sleep is set to 50 milliseconds. And we've also got things like the counted boots, the counted saves, the logs of SRL, web, and system. The Wi-Fi config is set to 2. I'm not sure what that means. VCC is a question mark. And then we have some things here where we've got config, edit, delete, or restart. So you can restart the device from here. If I click on the config, and inside the configuration, we can change the friendly name, the power on state. So turn relays on as last saved, turn relays on and disable further relay control. So we can do all sorts of things here. The LED state, so show a power state on LED, and that's inverted for a son-off touch. The sleep duration from 1 to 250 milliseconds to enable energy saving. We've got network settings here that we can change, and we've got MQTT settings here that we can change as well. If I go back to the list and scroll across, if we click on the edit, we can change things like the device ID, the admin username and password, and the position if we wanted to. We can include in an all off toggle. There's protect from powering on, protect from powering off. Last thing I'll mention as we go back to the list here is in the name field here, you'll see that this is a link, and if we hover over it, we can open the device web UI. Now, if I right click this and open in a new tab, this is actually going to take me to the Tasmota web page of the device itself. So you'll see we've got the IP address of the device, and we've got the Tasmota web page, and we can interact with it as we normally would, including the configuration, firmware upgrade, etc. And the other thing that we have here is add device in the top right hand corner of the list. If we wanted to add another device, we can enter the IP and the device username and password, and that will add that device manually. So as you can see, we've got a fair amount of data, and not to mention power, in having all of our Tasmota devices listed in the one place like this. But that's not where the benefits of Tasmo Admin end. As we saw when we were looking in the devices drop-down menu, we've got this update option here. And if I click on update, the page will load, and we can choose whether or not the over-the-air uses SSL. We can define an over-the-air server IP and port. I'm going to set this to 192.168.1.146, which is the IP address of my Raspberry Pi. We can, if we've got custom firmware, we can define both the minimal and full firmware. And the firmware version for the automatic update, we can click on this drop down, and we can then choose either the specific language that we want or any other custom Tasmota images that we might want in here, such as a Tasmota 32, for example. I'm just going to leave that at Tasmota, and we can either click next, or in my case, automatic, which if you hover over it says download and use the latest release from Tasmota GitHub. And if we scroll through down below here, we've got the release note. Now, it's a little bit confusing because this has split into two columns, and this column doesn't actually start until you get to the bottom of the column on the left. So if we scroll down a little bit here on the left, you'll see we've got the changelog for version 12.1.1.4, whereas it's a little confusing because it almost looks like the way this is laid out, that version 8.5.1 is the latest release, but that is not the case at all. We want 12.1.1.4. So what I'm going to do is scroll all the way back up to the top, and I'm going to click on automatic here, which is going to download and use the latest release from Tasmota GitHub. And then we can choose the devices that we want to update. Now for me, I'm going to click on the all button, but I'm going to uncheck the dining room because I don't want to lose the dining room lights here, but I will update these shortly. So this will also give you a good demonstration of what this looks like when you have your Tasmota devices on different versions of Tasmota. And in case you can't tell, I've done this once before, about 6 months ago. I updated everything to 11.1.0. So with the ones that I want to update checked over here, and we can still see these details like with the list view, I'm going to click on Start Update, and it's going to go through and start setting the over-the-air URL, and it's going to try and update these. Okay, so we're starting to get some results saying update done, update done. Some are saying update not done, and it's waiting another 30 seconds or so. So we should start to see these devices coming back up following the update. So as far as I can tell, we don't actually need to wait for this to complete. We can just go to the devices and then go back to list. And we should see now that we've got most of these are on 12.1.1, 12.1, 12.1, and we've got one that's still on 11.10, and that's the dining room one, which we didn't do deliberately because we wanted to make sure that the lights stayed on, but also I wanted to demonstrate what this looks like when you've got different versions across your devices here. Moving on from devices, we'll take a quick look at settings, and we can do things like changing the password for Tasmo Admin in here. So if I didn't like having admin anymore, I can change that to something else, and I can hit return, and that's saved that setting now. We can also change our start page. So the default start page is this dashboard. If you don't like that dashboard, and to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't blame you if you don't like it, you can click on the set start page here and change that to devices. And that way, if we save, the first time you log in, this will be your default start page. You can also make some changes to the default settings for updates. So for example, you can define your over-the-air server IP and port, and define the default firmware version to use for automatic updates and whether or not you're using the gzip package. You can change your refresh time as well. So if you want the refresh time to be 1 second or 300 seconds, and anywhere in between there. And night mode is either auto, always, or disabled. I'm going to change that to always, and I'm going to leave show search field on, and I'll click save on that. And if we refresh the page, we are now in night mode. The last thing to mention here is if we click on this question mark, we see that we've got some documentation available. We can either go to a changelog, we can go to Tasmota documentations. There's documentation for the Tasmota commands if you wanted to see what the Tasmota commands are, for example. There's the Tasmota templates, which you can find, that takes you to the Blackadder templates page. Tasmota troubleshooting, which takes you to a Tasmota troubleshooting page. And there's also a Tasmota Discord and a Tasmo Admin Discord there as well. Before we finish up, we've also got our language. We can change the language for the page, and there's a logout button in the top right-hand corner there. So that's using Tasmo Admin to manage and update all of your Tasmota devices in one easy step. Let me know what you think of Tasmo Admin in the comment section down below. It's worth mentioning that it's not just limited to lights. It just so happens that in my smart home, the only things that I've managed to flash to Tasmota so far are light devices. Tasmo Admin will allow you to control and update all of your Tasmota smart home devices, and in a future video we'll be revisiting the ESP01S relay board that I demonstrated with ESP Home, and we'll run the same demo with Tasmota instead. So make sure that you're subscribed to see that video when it comes out. That is all we have for this video, and I do hope that it helped you in your smart home journey. Be sure to comment down below with a home automation idea you'd like to see me cover in a future video. And don't forget to follow HiveMind Automation on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button down below to give it a like. That helps the YouTube algorithm recommend this video to more viewers. If you're not already subscribed, now's a great time to think about changing that. And while you're at it, if you hit the bell icon, you'll also get a notification when I release new videos, and that's normally every week. Lastly, if you enjoy what I do here and you want to help to support the channel, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description down below. Any contribution that you make through Buy Me a Coffee gets put towards making more and hopefully better content for you to enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Stu from HiveMind Automation, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.